China's submersible is carrying out its latest mission at the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean. This is the fourth time the watercraft known as Striver has successfully dived more than 10 kilometers.
China's deep-sea submersible Fendouzhe, also called Striver, descended into the Mariana Trench for what was supposed to be another extreme ocean research mission. It had already proven it could dive beyond 10,000 meters. This time, it dropped nearly 31,000 feet into the Pacific's deepest trenches, and what it recorded there was not supposed to exist. The footage and findings, later tied to research published in Nature, didn't just reveal strange organisms in the dark. They challenged one of the most basic assumptions in biology, that complex ecosystems ultimately depend on sunlight. The team conducted repeated dives, and with each descent, the evidence became harder to explain away. The deeper the submersible went, the more impossible the seafloor looked. Before you can understand why this discovery shook scientists around the world, you need to understand where the robot went. The hadal zone, named after Hades, the underworld of Greek myth, is the deepest part of the ocean. This is trench country, where tectonic plates collide and the seafloor collapses into abyssal wounds deeper than mountains are tall. The pressure here is crushing, measured in tons per square inch. Temperatures hover just above freezing. There is no sunlight, no photosynthesis, no warmth, and no surface-driven food web in the way most people understand life on Earth. The Chinese Academy of Sciences team expected to document geology, sediment layers, rock formations, maybe a few isolated deep-sea animals surviving on scraps drifting down from above like marine snow. Instead, Fendouge's cameras recorded something else entirely. At depths ranging from roughly 8,200 to 31,000 feet, the submersible captured dense communities of life: tube worms, bivalves buried in sediment, shrimp, crustaceans, forming thriving ecosystems across vast stretches of trench floor. Not scattered survivors, not occasional oddities. Entire living communities, clustered and active in one of the harshest environments on Earth. It was the deepest colony of complex animals ever observed. And then came the twist that turned a shocking discovery into a scientific crisis. These organisms were not feeding on falling organic matter from the sunlit surface. They were not part of a food chain powered by sunlight at all. Instead, they depended on chemosynthesis. Toxic chemicals, especially methane and hydrogen sulfide, seep through cracks in the ocean floor. Microbes convert those chemicals into usable energy. Tube worms cluster around microbial mats. Bivalves bury into sulfide-rich sediment. Crustaceans feed within this chemical-powered system. In other words, an entire ecosystem was running in complete darkness, without a single photon of sunlight. That breaks the rule most people are taught in school. Sunlight feeds plants, plants feed animals, and the chain continues upward. Down here, life built a different chain. Marine geochemist descriptions of these sites compared them to a vibrant oasis in a desert. But oasis almost undersells it. What Fendouzhe found was not just life surviving in the dark. It was life organizing itself into functioning ecosystems in a place long treated as biologically marginal. And that is where the discovery becomes bigger than Earth. Because if life can thrive on chemical energy seeping from rock under pressures that would crush steel, then sunlight may not be a requirement for complex ecosystems after all. Life may not need a habitable surface. It may not need Earth-like conditions in the way we assumed. The research team explicitly raised the possibility that similar chemosynthetic systems could exist in extraterrestrial oceans, including on moons like Europa and Enceladus, where methane and hydrogen are common. Pressure conditions at the bottom of Earth's deepest trenches are often used as analogs for subsurface alien oceans. That is one reason ocean robots have become so important to astrobiology. In that sense, the Mariana Trench may not just be a remote part of Earth. It may be a training ground for finding life beyond Earth. What the submersible captured 31,000 feet down may be less about the Pacific Ocean than about the question humans have been asking for centuries: is life unique to Earth? And just as scientists were absorbing that possibility, the deep ocean revealed an even larger surprise. A separate effort, the Mariana Trench Environment and Ecology Research Project, published as a cover story in Cell, cataloged ecosystems in the hadal zone below 6,000 meters and found an astonishing 7,000 microbial species, nearly 90% of them previously unknown to science. 9 out of 10 species in that data set were effectively new. That means after more than a century of ocean science, we have still missed most of what lives in one of Earth's largest environments. The project also documented amphipod crustaceans thriving at immense depths, where pressures are extreme enough to shatter common assumptions about biological survival. Researchers found adaptations that contradicted accepted expectations, including patterns involving TMAO, a compound long thought to rise predictably with depth to stabilize proteins under pressure. Below a certain depth, that expected increase did not hold. In simple terms, even the chemistry we thought we understood about deep-sea survival turned out to be incomplete. The animals had found other solutions. Then, in late 2025, another discovery off Papua New Guinea added a new layer of improbability. A GeoMar team operating the ROV Keel 6000 near Lihir Island found a site where scalding hydrothermal vents existed directly beside cold methane seeps, two geological systems that textbooks generally treat as separate phenomena occurring in different settings. They named the site Karambusel. The rock surfaces were reportedly so densely covered with mussels, tube worms, shrimp, sea cucumbers, and other organisms that bare rock was almost invisible. Many species there are suspected to be new to science. By this point, a pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Every time we sent better robots deeper into places humans had barely seen, we found ecosystems that were richer, stranger, and more complex than predicted. Which brings us to the most staggering number in this entire story. A 2025 study in Science Advances analyzed data from roughly 44,000 deep-sea dives since 1958, and estimated that humans have visually observed only around 0.006 to 0.001% of the deep ocean floor. In total area, what we've seen is roughly comparable to a tiny fraction of the planet's submerged terrain, an almost absurdly small sample from a realm that covers most of Earth. The deep ocean covers about 66% of the planet. We are making sweeping conclusions about Earth's largest habitat based on a vanishingly small amount of direct observation. And even those dives are not globally distributed. The overwhelming majority have been conducted by just a handful of countries. Modern seafloor mapping initiatives, such as Seabed 2030, can tell us a lot about terrain, but sonar maps are not the same as biological exploration. A topographic map of a forest does not tell you what species live under the canopy. Researchers estimate that even with massive expansion in deep-sea exploration platforms, fully visualizing the deep-sea floor would take far longer than any human timescale can tolerate. Which means we are discovering new ecosystems at the exact moment we are also creating ways to destroy them. The first threat is already present: plastic pollution. Microplastics have reached full ocean depths, including the Mariana Trench. Studies have detected alarming concentrations at extreme depths, and additional research has found microplastics inside the guts of amphipod crustaceans, collected from some of the deepest ecosystems on Earth, including near Challenger Deep. The same kinds of organisms revealing how life survives in the abyss are already ingesting our waste. At hadal depths, where temperatures are low and conditions are stable, these particles can become part of a long-term pollution sink. In effect, we may be contaminating ecosystems that took millions of years to evolve before we have even identified most of the species living there. And then there is the second threat, which is accelerating fast: deep-sea mining. In this narrative, U.S. policy moves in 2025 and 2026, including executive actions and NOAA mapping efforts near American Samoa, are framed as part of a push to identify and access offshore critical minerals, including cobalt, nickel, manganese, and rare earth elements used in batteries, electric vehicles, and military technologies. That puts a growing industrial frontier on a collision course with frontier biology. Mining polymetallic nodules does not just remove rocks. Those nodules function as habitat and took millions of years to form. Scraping them away can destroy ecosystems on any timescale humans can meaningfully call recoverable. Research cited in the original script claims significant population declines after seabed scraping and broader impacts on ocean food webs through disturbed sediments. The conflict is no longer theoretical. The script describes a target zone east of the northern Mariana Islands, bordering areas near one of the most biologically and symbolically important trench systems on Earth. At the same time, international governance remains unsettled. Major powers are competing for mineral access and processing dominance, and deep ocean ecology has become entangled with geopolitics. The creatures living miles below the surface have no voice in that fight, and the race is getting tighter. NOAA expeditions continue exploring deep-sea priority areas around the Mariana region. Other missions, like work off Chile by the Schmidt Ocean Institute's ROV Sebastian, have revealed previously unknown submarine canyon systems and dozens of potential new species in a single voyage. Scientists are also finding methane seeps in places no one expected, suggesting hidden biodiversity hotspots may be widespread along coastlines we still barely understand. Every new mission repeats the same message. When we send a robot down, we find something we did not expect. That is no longer the exception, it is the rule, and this matters far beyond curiosity or spectacular footage. The deep ocean is tied to planetary stability. It plays a major role in heat absorption and carbon cycling. It supports processes connected to oxygen production through broader ocean circulation and nutrient dynamics. Disturbing deep seafloor systems may carry consequences we do not yet know how to model. Some deep-sea organisms have already contributed compounds relevant to major medical treatments, and we've explored only a minuscule fraction of the environments where such organisms live. The Geomar team itself warned that nearby industrial impacts, whether from land-based mining waste or future seafloor extraction, could damage unique ecosystems before scientists have finished studying them. That is the core tension of this story. A Chinese submersible descended into the Mariana Trench and documented thriving chemical-powered ecosystems in total darkness, nearly 31,000 feet down. Other research in the same broader realm uncovered thousands of microbial species, most unknown to science. Deep-sea biology is overturning assumptions about how life survives, adapts, and evolves. Some scientists now see these systems as models for alien oceans. At the same time, microplastics have already reached the deepest trenches. Mining interests are converging near regions of active discovery, and humanity has visually explored only a microscopic percentage of the deep sea floor. So the discovery is not just something impossible exists at the bottom of the ocean. It is this. We have found proof that life can flourish where our models said it shouldn't. We may have found analogs for life beyond Earth. And we are approaching these ecosystems with pollution, extraction, and geopolitical competition before we even understand what they are. The robots are showing us a living world beneath our world. Now the question is whether we protect it long enough to learn from it, or erase it before we ever truly know what was there.